Hey everyone, welcome to the HeyHannah podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Maya Fields, but to my friends and those who know me well, I'm just Maya. I'm a higher education administrator, a mother, and a wife of 14 amazing years. But above all, I'm a Christ follower. This podcast is a special platform created to honor the memory of my beloved daughter, Hannah. It's here that I have the chance to have the conversations that I never got to have with her, to share the wisdom and love I wish I could have passed on. It's a reminder to cherish the precious moments we're given and a testament to the power of healing, hope, and personal growth. If you're someone who's seeking personal growth, inspiration, and practical advice to build a solid foundation for a successful and fulfilling life, this is a place for you. Join me as we honor Hannah's memory together. Laugh, cry, and learn. Get ready for a podcast that is so much more than you could ever imagine. The HeyHannah podcast, healing hearts, one conversation at a time. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the HeyHannah podcast. Thank you all so much for continuing to tune in, and I hope that you all are learning a lot and enjoying yourself and getting a few laughs along the way as we strive to bring you information just to help you live life well. I feel like that's a continuous goal for all of us. So I'm excited that every episode hopefully brings you some tips that help you to do just that. Today we have Rosemary with us, and she's a holistic business coach that's passionate about helping female entrepreneurs redefine success on their own terms. We're so excited to chat with her today because she does so many things and she's wearing so many hats. And it's anytime we have someone who's doing a lot of things well, it's like we want to get the tips. What are the secrets? How are you doing these things? She believes in creating a business that aligns with personal lifestyle values and vision. And if you are tired of the grind culture, so is Rosemary. So perfect. You are in the right place. We're going to get a chance to chat with her today, and she is going to share her secrets with us. So Rosemary, thank you so much for being here. We are so glad to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Absolutely. So can you share a little bit about your journey from transitioning to, you talk about being burnt out, like you were in a state of burnout, and then you built a sustainable, thriving business that aligns with your life. So can you tell us a little bit about that transition period for you? And what was that journey like?
Yeah, definitely. I think for most entrepreneurs that your listeners will relate to this. So I didn't start as an entrepreneur. I was working a 9 to 5 for many years alongside my business. And so I started my business in 2018 and I was working a 40-hour week, and traveling as well a lot. And when you're young and you don't have kids, traveling sounds like a lot of fun, especially if your job is to go to hotels.
Yeah.
But when you have kids and they're young and they go to daycare and you nurse, it's not so much fun. So doing that alongside work and trying to grow a business, it just became a lot. And I just remember waking up one day with tears in my eyes. The moment my eyes opened, I was crying. And that's when I knew, enough was enough, because my husband was like, "Why are you crying? You just woke up. Like, did you have a bad dream?" But the point was, I was crying because I was exhausted.
Yeah.
I was exhausted and I hadn't even touched the ground. Like, I hadn't even woken up yet fully. But just looking at the day ahead just made me want to cry. And that's when I knew that, okay, this is not how you're supposed to, go through life. There's just too much going on and I need to simplify. And at that time, I didn't have all the answers, but I knew that definitely less was more. I started to look at my life and my work to see, okay, where can I reduce something and where can I do things that fuel me? Because I absolutely love coaching. And one of the things that actually gives me energy is being in front of my clients and the women that I help. So I knew that I didn't want to do less of that.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do less of was my 9 to 5. But that's also, that's what's bringing in the money at that time, or more of the money consistently, where, whether you go to work or you're sick, you just get paid, right? And I started to look in the future thinking, okay, I need to make a plan. And so from that moment, I made like a 3-year plan. Okay, within 3 years, I need to stop this 9 to 5, focus on my business and see where I can take it. And so little by little, I started to looking at my options. And I think that when you make a decision, the thing is, God puts, a vision in your heart and he's already giving you the answers, but it's just you need to catch up to that. You need to say, you know what? Okay, I trust you. Let's do this, and say, I want to do this then. And he's like, okay, cool. We already did it, but sure, let's go on a ride together. And for me, it was really coming to terms with what God already had decided that was going to happen for me. It was good for me. And I just needed to trust in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. I love your authenticity. I feel like what you're saying resonates with so many people, especially if you're like thinking about starting a business. You're right now in the hustle of balancing 9 to 5 and the business. And hopefully, some people who are listening have already made it to the other side and they are running their business full time. What would you say? I know you said you made a plan, but what would you say are the top 3 things that you did during that balancing period to keep you moving forward? Because what I've seen and what I hear a lot from people is that's just like a really hard struggling period where you're trying to balance the 9 to 5 and still put the time into your business. There's only so many hours in a day. There's only
Yeah.
so much of you to go around, and we all get tired. We all need sleep. What are the 3 things that you did that you felt like made the difference to help you take that leap from 9 to 5 to full-time business?
I think definitely focusing on one core offer. So that's maybe specific to service-based businesses or even in a coaching base. But for anybody listening, what kind of business, doesn't matter what kind of business you have, but you must have a best-selling product. You must have a product that or a service that sells good, doesn't ask too much of your time, you enjoy, that actually brings in most of the money. So focus on that first. And so for me, I was at the time doing group coaching. I had been doing a one-on-one coaching before, but I just didn't have the capacity to have more clients because my calendar was kind of, full already with work. And so I moved pretty quickly to group coaching because I knew that I could have more people in a container. I could show up once, share the same knowledge with the same people, but they would all still pay a premium price for that access to me. And so that's what I focused on, premium packages, so that you don't spread yourself too thin. I hear a lot of people like, oh, maybe you can sell a $7 product or start a membership, but they forget that if you don't have an audience that is like 10,000 people, well, how many $7 things are you going to sell to,
That's
to
so
kind of cover costs? And so I think one thing definitely that I focused on was, how can I get the most bang for my buck?
Yeah.
Doing something that I enjoy and that is giving the most value to my clients. And so I didn't mind the high touch, but I was like, if it's going to be high touch and they're going to have a lot of me, I need to ask for the price that is right as well. So I did that. And then the second thing is systems, processes, putting things in place and automating things as quickly as you can. And
Yeah.
it's funny, even with podcasting, something like you reach out to someone and you're scheduling this, you'd be surprised the number of people that just go back and forth. When is good for you? Is this date good for them? Like, you could just have a link to a scheduler.
Right.
And most people think it's not a lot of work, but imagine doing that for 10, 20 people and you forget to send, when you're available and you have to go back and forth and check in each other's calendar. It's a lot of time wasted. So I
Hmm.
think putting systems and processes in place to make it easier for you and quicker for you to do things, that's one thing that I also did in my business. And I think the third thing would be figure out what your non-negotiables are in terms of well-being. Like, what do you need to function at your highest and not to dream? Because as high achievers, it's easy to fall into the trap of, especially if you enjoy doing what you're doing and you're like, well, I can go more hours, but you could still get into a burnout too. So
Yeah.
it's not because you love what you do that you don't get exhausted from doing it. And so I think being clear on what your non-negotiables are, whether it's having enough sleep, working out, having something that sparks joy, if we're going to use Marie Kondo's words, and know that that's important for you and schedule that in your calendar and really non-negotiables, like it's happening no matter what.
That's excellent advice. Excellent, excellent advice. I heard someone say one time that um, the Bible's principles are God's automation. And so when you said like automate things as much as you can, it's like, well, that's biblical. God was doing it and now we're doing it too. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that was some excellent, excellent advice. I wanted to touch quickly on one thing that you mentioned on your first tip. You talked about pricing your premium product at a price that's going to make sense for you. Did you struggle with any type of reservation or anxiety about pricing your one product at a premium? Was that a struggle for you? Sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to charge too much, or should I do this? Did you struggle with that at all? And if you did, how did you overcome that barrier?
So yes, I did. I think it would be weird for someone to say, no, for me, it's easy to just price things super high and I have no anxiety, no feelings about it. Like, okay, good for you. But yes, it was hard. But I think what helped me is that when I decided to start doing group coaching or just coaching in general, and I took a course and I got a mentor and a coach, my coach taught me the importance of pricing your, especially if it's high touch kind of service, really going for premium pricing. And so I knew that it was important for the value, the perceived value, because value is just perceived. It's in the eye of the other person. So
That's true.
it really doesn't matter what the price is. There's always someone who's going to say either it's too expensive or it's a piece, it's like, wow, this is so cheap. So that's something that I learned early on, that price is just in the eyes of the person who's seen it. And so there's no such thing as too expensive or too low. And what I did is I priced the things at the price that still made me uncomfortable. So it wasn't easy. I was like, oh, okay, I don't know if anybody's going to pay for it, but I'm going for it anyways.
Yeah.
And I also went with the mindset that you can always increase, but it's very difficult to reduce. Yeah, this came out right.
I love that you are vulnerable in a way and saying like you did struggle with that as well, because I feel like that's a common thing in, like, especially with women, like undervaluing what we have to offer. So I'm glad that you are transparent with that and talk through how that process was for you. Now, we've already touched on a little bit, like you're running the business, you have your children, so you have your household as well, but you emphasize that there's a difference between work-life balance and work-life harmony. Can you tell us what the difference in those two things are, and how can someone achieve?
Yeah, I think the main difference for me, at least, I'm sure there's other definitions out there, but for me, when people talk about work-life balance, it's almost as if a give or take. Like if I spend a little bit of time here, then definitely I'm taking away from this thing. And if I'm taking away from this thing, it means something. So there's a deficit. And so I'm losing out, or someone is losing out. Whereas work-life harmony, it's not necessarily like a scale, but it's like a circle. And there are different pieces together that make it work. Sometimes, and I feel like also work-life harmony is much more in flow with your personality, your lifestyle, the phase of your life you're in, or the phase of the business you're in. Whereas work-life harmony does not really, work-life balance doesn't take that into account. Like, am I a new mom? And do I need to, spend just more time with the baby because it needs me more? Or am I a new business owner and I don't have kids, so I have the capacity to just spend more hours on the business, and whether I'm going to a launch or not. So I think work-life balance doesn't take a lot of things into consideration. It's just like, well, if you're working this many hours, then you need to make sure you have as many, you have X amount of hours spent with your family and with your self-care. But it's like, it's totally impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. And different moments in your life require different things, and it's important to realize that. So I completely understand where you're coming from. That makes a lot of sense. And I think if we're always striving for the work-life balance and having that rigidness with the amount of time that we spend here, like that same allocation all the time, you're going to end up running yourself into a space where your life isn't as effective as you'd hope it would be. So thank
Mm-hmm.
you for sharing that. And I'm glad you explained it the way that you did. Now, how do you involve your kids in your entrepreneurial journey, and what impact has everything with your business in the shift from like your standard working environment to your entrepreneurial business? What impact has it had on them, if any?
I think the way I involve them is to make them understand what mommy does. Like, I'm working, and so my job, I explain it to them over and over again. I help other women start their own business or grow their business so they can enjoy more time with their families. And so when I'm doing things, I like to explain it to them. And also, even in my corporate job, and I was telling this the other day to someone else, remember when COVID hit and we were all working from home, and sometimes kids would barge in and make noise, and everybody would be so apologetic. But then
Yeah.
cats and dogs come in and it's like, oh my God, this is so cute. And it's like, how how are we so insensitive to human beings and women having kids or just parents having kids? But then dogs and cats are so cute and it's totally normal. They can interrupt meetings. And so for me, even at my corporate job, my kids were around. I'm a mother and that's just what it is. And if people
Yeah.
made comments, then I explained to them that is actually like it's a real human being and we're working from home and it's totally normal. So I don't feel like I need to apologize for it. And so when I started working with clients, I always let the women know as well that you don't need to apologize for having kids. If you need to nurse your baby and you feel comfortable, you can turn off the camera or you can leave the camera on and nurse your baby. So this whole don't change because you're in a work mode and you're in a private mode. You're the same person. And so bringing those two together allow the women to be less stressed and for all of us to just be more, okay, this is what it is and it's totally okay. And so my kids know what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And I try to bring those two together. Let's say, especially now that I homeschool, when I was even working in my corporate job for a while, I was allowed to work remotely. And so we went overseas for 2 months. I took the kids along and in the morning I would work my corporate job. In the evening, I would work on my private business. And during the day, we would go to the beach. But sometimes I would take calls during the day. So it's like, that's harmony for me, being able to have all these things together without having to feel like, well, now I'm doing this, but I can't do it because I'm doing this.
Yeah. I love that. And that's so true. I didn't even think about it until you said it about like the pets barging in. And that's true. Like the cat jumps on the camera and everyone's like, when the kids barge in, like everyone's like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. That's a very true point. And I think it does give us permission when it's like, okay, these are different parts of you and these are different hats that you're wearing. So it's absolutely fine. Like, don't feel like you have to apologize for those things. I think that's just one less piece of armor that you have to wear. You can just kind of like relax. That's one less thing I have to worry about because everyone
Mm-hmm.
knows you're a mom. Like, it's not a big secret. So why would you be surprised if you hear a child say something like, I told you I was mom? Like, no big deal. Those are the things that are happening. Now, in your business, you get a front row seat with helping people literally live out their dreams,
Mm-hmm.
change the trajectory of their lives. You talked about going from like a state of burnout to waking up in tears to feeling passionate and joyful with what you're doing. And you're getting to help other people do that, which is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Can you share with us maybe like your favorite client story so far of you having an experience with helping someone walk through that process?
Yeah. Think I love all the stories, but if I can share one that comes to mind right now, it's a client of mine who has a after school program. So she has an like a dance academy in arts. And when she came to me, she was so burnt out. Her team wasn't executing the way she wanted to, and she was struggling to kind of get the vision that was in her head into for her team to understand where she wanted her program to go. So that was one struggle. And because of that, she was overworking, thinking she had to do everything by herself. And so she missed a lot of time at home. The kids missed things in school, didn't do their homework properly. She forgot to sign documents. And her marriage was also unstable because of that. And even joining the coaching program was a big stress because her husband wasn't supportive of the idea. He didn't think
Yeah.
she needed to invest as much for a program. And so eventually, when she did go through the program, and a couple of months ago, I spoke with her. She said, the biggest win for me is not that you saved my business, literally, but you saved my marriage. She said, thanks to you, I can let go now. I know my team is getting the job done. I don't need to be present in every little step. And I get to, in the middle of the day, go and, have lunch with my husband and pick up my kids on time. When I am with the kids, I don't need to worry about my business. And that is something that I did not expect getting business coaching. I didn't expect that part of my life was going to be changed so much. So for
Yeah.
me, that's really a great win because as a holistic business coach, I want people to understand that I'm not here to help you work on your business, but I'm here to help you live your life at the fullest and have a thriving, sustainable business and life.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, that's so life changing. Like you think I'm just, I'm jumping in here and the primary thing we come to talk about is your business, but like you're helping with so many other areas of someone's life that just improves their overall happiness.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing that you get a front seat to that. So for anyone who's listening and they feel like, this is me. I feel like I'm stuck kind of in the hustle or the grind of day to day. If they contact you, what type of services could they receive from your business?
Yeah. So currently, there are different ways to work with me, but the first ways they're listening to my podcast where I share strategies and tips and things that can help them in their day to day. But if they're ready to make, the next step and really work on their specific business and they need direct feedback, I have a 90 minutes breakthrough session. That's for people like, you know what? I have one particular thing I'm trying to reach in the next 90 days, and I need someone else to look at this with me, come up with an action plan together so I can get to that next level. So that's a 90 minutes breakthrough session where they get also 2 weeks additional support and feedback via WhatsApp or email or Voxer for those that prefer, where I really help them create an action plan for them to get that particular goal. It just helps to have someone else look at the bottlenecks in your business and
Yeah.
see what you might be missing and the pivots or the changes you need to make in order to reach that goal. Then I have also one-on-one coaching for 3 months or 6 months. They're more high touch, so that's like a long-term kind of commitment where we have calls twice a month, but then we have accountability sessions and they can reach out via email and WhatsApp during working weeks. So I'm really kind of their coach in their pocket with them for the next 6 months. And we
Nice.
look at their whole business. So it could be their systems and their processes. We look at their offers. We look at also how is that integrating with their lifestyle, because sometimes we're so busy creating a business that we forget that it's supposed to add value to our lives and not take us away from the life we love. And so I love to look at that with my clients as well to see, are you actually building a business in the business model that fits your lifestyle or not?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good point. So many good points. And it sounds like you have a little bit of something for everyone. There's a place that anyone can jump in and receive some type of information that's going to help them. What's next for your business? What's next on the horizon? Are you planning any new offerings? Are there any things that are upcoming that we can look out for?
Yeah, I'm really excited. So I have a membership, which I didn't mention, but one thing that I'm adding to the membership is Get It Done weeks. I am in a mastermind myself and my coach does something similar. And I thought this is a great way for business owners to tackle specific things in their business that they've been just procrastinating on. And
Yeah.
so on the starting the 9th of February, I have a week that we're focusing on your systems and processes in your business. So if your back end is a mess, and you're overwhelmed by all the tools and you're like, oh my God, maybe I should be on ClickUp. Maybe I should be on Notions and it's going to save my life. Pause a second, join this Get It Done week and let's look at what your bottlenecks are and whether or not you need Notion to help you.
Cool. Get it done week. Don't we all need a get it done week in some area
We
of our
do.
lives just to like get everything together at this designated time? So, Rosemary, how can people find you if they want to connect with you? Are you on social media? Can you share your website with us?
Yeah, so my website is Rosemary Dede. So that's my name, Rosemary. And I am on Instagram, even though I am not a poster there anymore. But you can just connect with me in the DMs at rosemary.dede as well. If you have any
Awesome.
questions or takeaway from today, feel free to just DM me.
Wonderful. It was so good to chat with you, Rosemary. You shared a lot of helpful information, and anyone who connects with you is definitely going to benefit because you can tell how much wisdom you have with the work that you do and the passion that you have for helping others to succeed. So, thank you for the work that you're doing. We end every episode with the same question. So, I'll ask you, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received, or what is one piece of advice you would give to someone that you deeply care about?
Really good. Let me think. One of the best advice I've gotten and that I would like to give someone is that I would rather say, um, what's basically, how am I trying to say this? Basically say, oh, well, instead of what if. So I live my life without regrets. I've always gone for the things I wanted to, even when people thought I was crazy, even when people thought, well, I'm giving up something really good. And that's because I'm the type of person that always think, well, you never know. Why not?
Yeah.
So I have this why not mentality. And so I would like that the best piece of advice I could give someone is to better go for things and think, you know what, it didn't work out, than to just sit there and live your life with regrets.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good piece of advice. Rosemary, thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
to
you.
join us and share your wisdom. It was such a joy to have you here. Hannah's Hive, as always, I appreciate you continuing to tune in. Please share this episode with someone that you feel would benefit from this information. And hopefully you got some good tips out of this information as well. And so glad that you took the time to join in with us. Don't forget to connect with us on social media. You can find Hey Hannah Podcast on LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, and even Facebook. So we are on all the socials. Make sure you connect with us and keep the conversation going. As always, I appreciate you joining us. Pray that this episode has been a blessing to you. And until next time, everybody, take care. And that's it. I'm out of here. Much for joining us on this episode of the Hey Hannah podcast. We hope that you found inspiration, insight, and encouragement in our conversation today. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay connected with us, be sure to like, subscribe, and review the Hey Hannah podcast. Your feedback helps us reach more people and spread our message of love and wisdom. You can also follow us on social media at Hey Hannah Podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok to stay updated on all the latest episodes, behind-the-scenes exclusives, and engaging content. And for those of you who prefer the visual experience, catch the video versions of our podcast on our YouTube channel. Just search Hey Hannah Podcast and hit that subscribe button to never miss an episode. For even more Hey Hannah goodness, visit our website at www.heyhannahpodcast.com. There you'll find updates, bonus content, and join a community that embraces you with open arms. Your continued support truly means the world to us. Together, let's spread love, share wisdom, and honor every precious moment. Because here at Hey Hannah, we believe that life is meant to be lived well. Remember, a new episode of the Hey Hannah podcast is released every Wednesday, so mark your calendars and be sure to tune in. Thank you again for being a part of Hannah's Hive. Until next time, take care. Entertainment.